Hi, I'm Mike Schlesinger, and this is Trailers from Hell. One night way back in 2002, the American Cinematheque had a screening of what was described as a low-budget spoof of low-budget 50s sci-fi. Sounded kind of cool, and I had no other plans that night, so I figured, what the heck? So there I was with over 500 other people, and we were all on the floor laughing our asses off at this incredibly clever and hilarious picture. Now, I had the acquisitions title at Sony Pictures at the time, and I said to myself, I have to have this movie. Fortunately, it was very cheap, so they let me pick it up, and then I marketed and released it. Now, since it's a faux 50s movie, I felt it had to have a faux 50s campaign. So we created an in-your-face one-sheet modeled on the one-sheet from Invaders from Mars, and of course the trailer, which some people actually believed was an old trailer from an old movie. I can't tell you how much that delighted me. The picture got some swell reviews, didn't do much business, but as is so often the case, people did finally find it on DVD and cable. We've done one sequel so far, and hopefully number 3 will happen one day soon. Until then, here is where the cult of Larry Blamire began, with the lost skeleton of CADAVRA. Naturally, we had to have overlays, bursting with the over-the-top hyperbole that was standard for the era, and which I love so much. And yes, that is the original Frank Skinner, Charles Previn, Hans J. Salter music from the second cycle of Universal horror movies, because in the 50s, that would have been old library music. Chaplin said he would compose the score first and then write the screenplay, and I sort of did the same thing here, mentally lining up the cues I wanted to use and then fitting the scenes to it. If I hadn't been able to license the music, the whole thing wouldn't have worked. And since Universal no longer had the tracks, we literally pulled them off DVDs and tapes of the movies themselves. As we were waiting for the okay, the trailer house was editing picture, and they really thought I had lost my mind. But when we finally put the music in, they watched it and said, okay, now we get it. I was worried about giving away too many great gags, but this movie is so full of them that I had plenty to choose from. And of course, old-fashioned phrases like kill for kicks and from outer space just added to the authenticity. The Sony brass was a bit worried about the cast of thousands, cost of millions line, but I said, come on, it's 4 people fighting in front of a plywood spaceship. How can that not be taken as satire? I did have to have legal okay that. They also had to approve the final card where it says, from the company that gave you Lawrence of Arabia and Zombies of Moratau. And yeah, I know Lawrence was 62, but he's driving a 61 T-Bird, so we pegged it as a 62 release. Now, normally that would have said Lawrence and Guns of Navarone, but that little twist at the end guaranteed we go out on a big laugh and applause. Skeletorama, new screen wonder of the age. How cool is that?
You don't know the lost skeleton of CADAVRA, but you will. You will!
I'm really proud of this trailer. I'm happy that it played so well, and I still think it's one of the best things I've ever done. Because it not only sells the film accurately and well, but it stands on its own merits as a teeny tiny little slice of fun. And by the way, since we had a ton of cartoons in the library, I added up iWorks Skeleton Frolics to complete the 50s experience and lure in a few animation fans. Finally, I closed the trailer with one last pun, because after all, Schlesinger's the name, and puns are my game.